one of the things I learned pretty quickly, pretty early on, was it wasn't so much about the physiology. It was more about the connection with the athlete and the way that I was implementing the workouts and the way that we were performing at the workouts rather than just the workout itself. And I would get coaches all the time say to me, send me a workout. And I would say to them, but it's just numbers on a piece of paper. It really doesn't mean that much. I mean, anyone can really write a workout, but it's the art of implementing the workout. And you've spent many hours around some of the greatest coaches in Australia's history. And I think you probably learned from them and saw from them that it was more than just the 3100s that John Carew was writing. It was how it was being done kind of thing. And you told me a story about Kieran Perkins a minute ago, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with exactly what I'm talking about here, right?
Well, it's true. And it's having come originally from a sports science background where I had access to some of the great physiologists and great minds in swimming physiology, certainly here and other places around the world, you can get to the point where you believe that it's about the content. So the volume, intensity, frequency of your workouts, that the content is what matters. So what's written is the most important. And typically that's what we teach. So session one, number one, level one coaching course, physiology of swimming. And we talk about sets and volume and intensity and repeat times and heart rates and all those things. So when we write a workout on the board, we might write 10 100s or 20 50s on 130 holding PB plus 5 or 75% or whatever marker you use to manage intensity. And that's easy to teach. And that's what we call the content of your workout, if you like. That's the science of swimming. But you very quickly come to realize that every time you write a workout, you write the content with the underlying assumption that the swimmers will do the content with the intent that was behind it. It's that marriage of content and intent, the marriage of science and the art of coaching. And it's the stuff that's not written, or what I talk about now is the gaps between what's written on the whiteboard. So written on the whiteboard might be 2050s, but what's not written there? What's in the gap? And the story you and I were talking about earlier, I'm happy to relate it again, was back in the 1990s, I was working for Swimming Australia and going just on the road constantly learning from some of our best coaches. And I was on deck with John Carew, may he rest in peace, who was coaching Kieran Perkins, the dual Olympic gold medalist, world record holder in 400 and 1500 freestyle, of course. And we were talking about sessions and workout plans and loading and all those things. And I remember distinctly two things that he said. He said, if I'm so good, where's the rest of them? And what he meant by that, when we started to talk, he said, they're all doing the same workout. Why does he get a different result? And someone might argue, well, there's genetic differences. Yes, there were. But what I observed was this, is that Kieran was doing a set of hundreds. He was doing them on around about 140. And he was holding between 58.5 and about 59.1 for the entire set of 20, 24, whatever he was doing at the moment. And I was watching. And the pace almost never varied. Stroke count was exactly the same. Stroke rate was the same. Breathing in terms of the number of breaths and where he took the breath was identical. And I said to Carew, we were talking about the workout, and he said the difference between Perkins and the rest is they're doing 24 100s. He's doing one perfect 100 24 times in succession, so he knows he can do that when and where it really matters. And, you know, it's like the light goes on in your head that coming in at that time, working mainly in sports science for Swimming Australia, I'm looking at what's written, but it's this, there's this magnitude, these piles and piles of intent and assumed knowledge and instinct and intuition. And Carew used to talk about teaching a lesson a week. He said one of our simplest tasks as a coach is to teach our athletes one lesson a week. That's 52 lessons a year. If they're with you for 5 or 6 years, that's hundreds of lessons that they've got and they've accumulated. So when they get to that level, he's swimming that set of hundreds with that accumulated lesson a week. And all those little things about when to breathe, where to breathe, stroke count, stroke rate, where to streamline, where to come out, where to break out. that's been there and been placed by that lesson a week concept over such a long period of time. And because I've been exposed to so many people like him, and then internationally with coaches in different parts of the world, you start to realize that it's the gaps and what's not written that defines great coaching.
Man, I love that story. I just love it. I'm gonna clip that. Nate's gonna clip it for us, and we're just gonna replay that because it's so powerful. It's so true. So many. It doesn't even have to be the 24-100s that you talk about. It could be anything. But you take the concept of exactly what you were talking about with the way Kieran was doing it, and you take any of the best athletes that I've ever coached, and that's exactly what they were doing time and time again. It is just figuring that out. And once an athlete can figure that out, then you create separation with everybody else. That's when you become the Kieran Perkins. And you're right. Kieran had some things about him physically that maybe separated him from other people for sure. And some of the great athletes do. But I'm telling you, it's the application of the process, daily process, that really separates people. And I love that aspect of it there.